Hi. So I just wanted to make a quick video about how to get your music loud. This year I've really focused on trying to bring my tracks up to a professional standard, and one of the areas that I guess I was struggling with is getting it to the same loudness volumes. Now there's lots of debate as to whether you should be trying to do that, but the simple fact of the matter is that if I'm releasing music alongside people who have a certain sound, then I have to bring my music to a similar sound to that before I start branching off and making different decisions as just part of my own sort of personal goals and learning. I've decided that would be the right thing to do. So I basically couldn't get it loud, and I did some research, and what this video is going to be about is just a few things that I've learned, and I'm going to hopefully try and just cut the complicated stuff out of the way and just give you what's useful in order to actually make your music loud. So when I went off to do research on this, this is one of the things that I found. It's called the Fletcher-Munson curve. And what this graph actually shows on the left-hand side is the amplitude in decibels of some music, and on here is actually the frequency in hertz. And what this graph actually measures is an average of people clicking a button when they hear a sound at a certain frequency and at a certain amplitude. So someone was sitting in a room, and when it was 63 hertz and the volume was turned up to 50 decibels, they clicked a button and said, yeah, I can hear that, and the guy taking the test wrote that down. And all this graph shows is the actual average of that. And as you can see, as the frequency goes up, the amplitude actually needs to be less in order for the average person to hear it. And there's a very good reason for this. It's actually to do with evolution, and the human voice is actually around about 500 to 4 kilohertz. So we're actually, from an evolutionary perspective, we're actually tuned in to hear this this frequency here. So that's an important thing to understand, because what I realised when I did research into this is that there's actually two aspects to this. The first aspect is how loud something actually is, and the second aspect is how loud something actually sounds. And the first one is a technical concept, and the second one is a concept of perception. It's just the way it sounds, and that's really important to understand. So basically, when you look at some sort of level meter like we have here, this bit here actually measures the loudness of something. Now, there's things like RMS, which is just a mathematical calculation to calculate the overall energy of the sound. But really, one concept is how loud this meter here goes. I mean, in terms of just purely making music and making it loud, without going into the deep technical aspects, one concept is how loud it actually is on the meter, and then the other concept is how it actually sounds. So what I did is I actually got one of my favourite tracks by this producer, Mo Turk, and what I did is I put it into my digital audio workstation, and I have laid it up as a reference track against my track. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to say, well, mastering and mixing aside, what I want to do is I want to get it to sound the same volume before I actually get it to the same volume, because they're both closely coupled. And I thought, well, if I could get it to sound the same volume without any mastering and mixing, then all that mastering and mixing is going to do at the end is actually add volume to it. So I'm going to get as loud, if not louder. And you know, that wasn't just me working out. I read around lots, and I tried to get to the basics, and you know, basically cut all the shit out of everything that I was reading about, oh, you need to send it off to a professional mastering engineer. I also watched a video by Monty, Deep House producer, and you know, he said basically, you know, you get it sounding loud before you hit the mastering stage. And so that's what I've done here. So so the technique I used was to actually have a loop on my track. And then when I hit the key number 1 on my keyboard, it will actually flick over to the reference track, which is Mo Turk's track. And so I play that. And what I did on the mixer, I actually got the two to be the same level on the master. So if we just see here, and I'll audition both of them, you can see me sort of playing around with it. So there's my one. So we're peaking around about 6 to 12, or minus 6 to minus 12. And then I flick over to Mouse Track, and you can see it's roughly the same, maybe even a bit quieter, but so if I bring it up ever so slightly, so we're getting around about minus 12 to minus 6, same as mine. And you can see really there isn't too much of a difference really in the way it sounds. His is maybe mixed a bit better, but actually the volumes are pretty equal. And so that's the first step, is to get them the same when they're turned down low. Now if I was to turn mine up, because there's more of a difference in the lowest and the tallest in mine, his will actually sound louder by the time we drag it all the way to the top. So what I do now is I actually, on the master here, I actually, when I hit the 1 key, not only does it turn my track on, but it will also activate this mastering chain I have, which is really not that complicated. It's just a utility mixer on the way into an isotope mastering utility, VST, and I think I just used one of the presets in here and tweaked around with it. It's this, it looks like it's this 3-band master instrumental with slow dynamics. Just, yeah, sounded good, so I used it. And so it goes into that, and then on the way out I bump up the volume again, and then I stick a limiter on, and then after the limiter, then I've got some final sort of trim and some equalizer, just, you know, I can bump it up slightly on that, and then all I do is I sit there and mess around with the levels until I get the whole thing sounding the same. So when I have his track playing, I need to drag that up because I don't want to put my mastering over his track, so I drag that up right to the top. Okay, so I've got it there. And then, yeah, so good. Right, and then I flick up to mine. And see, they're very, very similar volume. You know, I've got no problem now with how loud it is. So you can see they're quite similar volume, and really it's fairly simple. But really, I guess the key to all of this, in conclusion, is to make sure that the track, when you actually make it, sounds loud. So, you know, the samples have got to be loud. I mean, for example, one of the things in this style of deep house, which I love making, is really the bass line, and the bass line actually gives a lot of volume to this, because one of the core concepts behind this bass line is there's a lot of middle end to these bass lines. You know, they're not just a subby bass, and that's part of the character. It's that analog feel. So you can see here my resonance is 2.7. You know, it's almost around the midpoint, and that gives it a lot of volume as well. And then the delay on it will also give it volume. And you know, I've got a compressor on it, so the peaks there are low, but then the delay on it gives it a louder volume because the sound is spread out. So really, you know, getting it loud is all about getting the samples to sound loud. And I think that if you are having trouble getting it to sound loud, then if you sort it out way before you hit the mastering and mixing stage, then you're going to have much better success. Well, that's it. Hopefully this video has been useful for you. Thanks.